How's it going, guys? JP here. Welcome back to another loadout video. Today we have the XM4 and I have a build today that's going to make it super accurate. So let's just jump right into it. All right, guys, so getting into the class setup, we're going to start with the sights first. For this particular build that I have, I went with the reflex sight. It's probably the cleanest sight in my opinion. You could use any sight you want. Like I always say, whatever you feel comfortable with, just use it. Either way, you're going to be accurate, especially with all the other attachments that I'm going to be talking about. But for this sight in particular, just use what you feel comfortable with. If there's a particular sight that you guys like using for this weapon, let me know and I'll try it out, see how it works, but just use what you're comfortable with. For the muzzle, I went with the compensator just because of the vertical recoil control. Now, the muzzle brake and the ported compensator, they do have that first shot recoil, which is good. But for this particular build, I want the full amount of accuracy that you could possibly get out of this weapon. So I went with the compensator. This is going to give you pretty decent accuracy. It's going to give you a huge bump in it, and it goes hand in hand with the other attachments that we're going to have. For the barrel, I went with the reinforced barrel. Of course, like I said before, this is my favorite barrel. Best of both worlds from the long barrel and the twist barrel. Gives you decent damage range and bullet velocity. I don't know how much that really affects multiplayer. I know for Warzone, it's pretty good, but it doesn't hurt to have the damage range or bullet velocity. The other barrels, like the short barrel and the CHF barrel, they're usually more for movement. The mobility for this weapon is pretty decent. You're not going to be, sprinting around like an SMG, but I feel like the reinforced barrel with any assault rifle is pretty good. So I went with this one for this build. So getting into the underbarrel, to pair it nicely with the muzzle, I went with the vertical foregrip because this is going to give you horizontal recoil control. So having both the vertical and horizontal recoil control, you're going to be pretty centered when you're firing, especially at full auto. So this is definitely a good attachment to have or to run. I know most people run this attachment on most of their weapons. You could go with the precision foregrip if you're running like a scope or a 4x or 2x even, but I prefer having, at least for this build, a lot of accuracy. So vertical foregrip is what you want to go with. So for the magazine, I went with extended mags 1 because I did notice when I was playing some multiplayer matches, I would run out of ammo pretty quickly, especially using either a fast mags or just the standard mag on here. It would run out of ammo pretty fast. So I went with the extended mags 1. You do have the option of extended mag 2 or the 100 round mag, but just know that it's going to hurt your mobility. If you like running around the map, I suggest just going with the extended mags 1, just because it doesn't have any cons for mobility wise. The other two are good if you want to get into longer gunfights, but of course, your mobility is going to take a hit, so just know that. So for the rear grip, I went with the commando grip. With this, you have two options. Again, like I said, you can go with the quick draw grip, which is mainly focused for aim down sight speed. I like to have a little bit of both sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed, just because I'm going to be running around the map. So it will help if I'm sprinting to get my gun up to get that kill. So aim down sight speed helps a lot also, but I just like to have that sprint to fire speed. But again, the option is yours. At least for this build, you can go with quick draw grip or the commando grip. It's up to you. So getting into the stock, if you're focused on just having accuracy, you're definitely going to want to look into the buffer weight stock, just because it gives you an even greater boost for vertical and recoil control. A lot of the other stocks are just focused on flinch resistance or movement. The buffer weight stock is mainly focused on accuracy. So I choose this whenever the option's available. I know some weapons don't have it. So whenever the option's available, because I prefer accuracy over most things, I'm going to choose this stock. So for this build, I went with the buffer weight stock. And getting into the last attachment for the fire mods, of course, I went with recoil springs. This is a highly accurate XM4 build, so you're going to want to use recoil springs. This is just going to further increase the recoil control across the board. All the other options are decent, but we are going for full accuracy, so pick the recoil springs. All right, guys, and this is the full build of all the attachments. Here you're going to be able to see all the stat boosts and the cons for having these attachments on. Now for the whole class setup, I did recently prestige, so I'm going to have kind of the beginning tacticals, lethals, and field upgrades. But as far as that goes with my perks, I do have some unlocked. I always go ninja. For my perk 2, I try to go dispatcher, but since I don't really have it unlocked yet, I just went with assassin. And for perk 3, I usually go with bankroll, just to go hand in hand with my kill streaks. That's a good setup to have, at least for me. Let me know down in the comments what perk setup you use. I kind of want to try different ones out. Right now, I just have mine geared towards kill streaks, but if you have a good one, let me know. I want to try it out. All right, guys, and that's my setup. Now I'm going to be jumping into the firing range to show you the attachments in action and to show you how much the attachments affect the accuracy versus the stock version of the XM4. So getting into the firing range, you can already tell that the reflex sight that I have on here does not take up a lot of space on screen. Even when aimed down sights, you're still able to see enemies to your right or to your left. As far as accuracy goes, if you're shooting up close, it's pretty accurate. I mean, you're going to be on target even at 50 meters. Moving to 100 is where you kind of get a little shaky, but it's still pretty accurate. For the recoil control pattern, without holding the right stick, this is the recoil pattern that you're going to get using this weapon with the attachments. Not too bad. Holding the stick and, you know, messing with the accuracy, it's going to be pretty decent, at least at that range. At 10 meters, it's going to be extremely accurate. Like, you're pretty much not going to miss any shots. So now comparing it to the vanilla version of the XM4, iron sights aren't too bad, but I kind of don't like using them. You still get that field of view, obviously, with any iron sights. Accuracy wise, you're still pretty accurate at 10 meters, 25, 50, you're still good if you're, you know, good at controlling the recoil. At 100 meters though, that's when you're kind of off. Also, as you can tell, you're running out of ammo pretty quickly when you don't have an extended mag, so getting into multiple gunfights is not going to be good. So this is going to be the stock recoil control pattern of the XM4. This is without holding the right stick down. As you can see, it's up and to the right, and that recoil pattern is pretty wild. If compared to the other one, it's a lot. So aiming down sights, controlling it with the right stick, it is pretty tough. I'm doing my best to try and keep it, but it does bounce around. It's not as clean as with the attachments, so definitely having those attachments is going to increase your accuracy by a lot. All right, guys, and that does it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below on your class setups for the XM4. I would love to hear what you guys use. And as always, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos, and I'll see you in the next one.